You've got mail.
Yes!
Yes. I'm gonna open this box so hard. Boom, 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 bam, ba, ba, ba. All right, so Shieldon knives, here it is. Okay, so guys, I'm going to be doing a mini series on these four. I'm going to be doing two first impressions and two first impressions. Not trying to draw it out. These are such a unique set of knives, and they have their own style, even though they draw from other styles, that I kind of want to give them some time. I have recorded this video like 6 times now. And the reason it's taken me so long is I've come across issues and then I put out the issues in some, and then I found out some of the issues I came across weren't actually issues. And I just want to, these aren't really a review. I didn't carry these knives, but I did dig into these hardcore, right? I've done a lot of stuff personally with these because I really want to get to know this. This is a brand that we don't trust yet, and they want us to trust them. So that's what you get reviewers like us for. Should you trust them, right? If you trust my opinion and you trust the opinion on this, then you're going to trust what I say about these. It's just another avenue for this company to get more, I guess you could say, views and more purchases. But for you guys come to people like us that, you know, yes, Shieldon gave me these 4 knives. And actually, one of these knives I've already given away in like a random giveaway app. But Shieldon gave me these 4. And it's funny because I wanted to rip the crap out of one of them. And I'm glad that I held back because I learned about what's going on. And there's some things I still want to rip into, but I actually understand what some other things are due to some conversations. So without further ado, part 1 of the 2-parter, first impressions. Okay, I'm going to tell you everything I know about the knife. I've had these for like a week now. So it's a little bit more than a first impressions, but this is not a review, okay? But I have information on these, so it's going to be, we'll call it a first review, but I will do a full review on each knife. All right, first impressions. I'll just pick 2 randoms. I have no idea what these 2 are. They're not set up in any way. I want to talk about first, before I open this, this is the way that the knives come, and this is their packaging. So instead of a Civivi package, where you get, I just opened up 4 and I don't have any around me. What the hell? What the fudge did I do with those? The Civivi clamshell package, man. What did you, here you go. One of these, okay? Instead of getting one of these where you can hold it, it is what it is. It's got a little bit of swag in there. They give you these, and the decision to do this, and you can clip these onto your pocket. These are like a nylon, real sturdy feeling. I don't know if they're nylon, but they feel like it. Real sturdy feeling pouch. I thought was genius. Okay, so I was like, that is really, really cool. Like, if you're gonna give me a pouch, yeah, make it available to clip onto my pocket. Then I got to thinking, and he even said, reviewers have said, whoever else is, we don't need this. Okay, I guess depending on the price that it adds to the knife, which I will find out. We'll find out for you. Depending on that price to the knife, yeah, you might not need it. But let's put it this way. I was showing some guys at work that aren't knife guys about this stuff, and they would all use the pouch. Okay? So just because we think of pocket clips as the end-all be-all doesn't mean somebody on a work site or something wouldn't use this. I think this is really cool to include with the knife. I think they should continue doing this. That's one thing. Let me know down in your thoughts, or let me know down below on your thoughts on this, because I think this is a really, really good idea. If you're gonna give me a pouch that will protect the knife, also make it so I can clip it onto my belt. That's what I'm talking about. So first knife that we're gonna dig into, what is this one? Okay, so this is one of my least favorite ones from them. Least favorite, I'm already setting the tone. I get it. It's just not my style, okay? I don't have a massive issue with it. The scales are G10, and they're kind of cool. They look like snakeskin. This is called the Boa, all right? So that's why it looks like snakeskin. It's called the Boa. Not a deep carry pocket clip. Once you see all the models, you'll understand why this doesn't bother me, because they actually have like a bunch of different pocket clips. I don't know if they're trying to find one or they just have multiple different types, I appreciate having like one for each type. Not that they have one for each type, but they have like multiple ones they could choose from for a type. Nice little lanyard cut out here. These are some thicker liners and thicker scales. One thing I want to do, despite this not being a review, is I want to measure these scales because this kind of plays a part into something later on that you guys won't know about just yet. I don't want to talk too much because I don't want to give a bias without knowing an actual answer yet. But let's see here. All right, zeroed out. These are relatively thick. So this is 0.59 inches at its thickest point. Okay, so this is a really thick knife. Now, thick as in not uncomfortably thick, but I'll talk about some other things. I guess we could talk about it in the first impressions. Let me clarify, my first impressions on these Shieldon knives are not the end-all. These are my first initial thoughts that I would expect anybody to have. I'm going to get these questions answered by the guy that I'm talking to from Shieldon. So take this all with a grain of salt. But my first impression upon disassembly is these are very stupidly easy to disassemble. I disassembled all 4 of these knives in a matter of 10 minutes. I didn't put them back together, but there's more to it, right? So I had these all disassembled in like 10 minutes. Problem with these thicker ones is they have these screws here that are standard screws. It's like they're using the same one. The screw heads strip out crazy easy. That's my first issue. But B, these screw heads are like they might have 2 or 3 threads into this barrel spacer. That's it. There's a gap in the barrel spacer where these screws are not meeting. And that frustrates me. What that tells me is that they're using a hardware all around for the same. It's not going to hold on as tight. Again, that being said, it holds on just fine. Like, I have no issue. I just know that if you were to over torque it just a little bit, those threads are gone. And like I said, I've already had one screw strip out on me, and that was kind of frustrating. And it's not even like they're putting anything on there. So I don't know if it's like a hot, cold, and it compresses on there. Back to the knife, though. These are Contour G10, relatively thick liners. Now, while I don't appreciate the screws' depth, I appreciate the thick liners and scales. This feels good. If you're going to go big, right? This is a D2. I'm just reading it off of here. And a decent flipper. The flipper works fantastic. The action is stupid, right? Look at that. Let's see. Is there any back and forth? No back and forth. No up and down, all right? Liners locked up right at about, you guys really can't see, right at about 25-30%. Very easy to access because there's such a large knife. I failed there because I just barely tried. This is not meant for reverse flicking, and if you see the position of the fuller or the cutout, the reverse flick, you have to do it really high up. So this is much more tuned for the flipper tab, the detent, than it is the reversed flick. Once you get the hang of it, you'll be fine, and you can thumb flick it too. Okay. So as I said, no back and forth, no up and down. This is the BOA, and it is perfectly centered, okay? Granted, I did take this apart, and I did kind of like give it a once over, but I can tell you the action out of the box was pretty good. I lubed them all up, so it's going to be a little bit better. But here's why I really don't like this thing. This thing has this tanto that's like a reverse tanto plus tanto. We call it a double tanto, double rainbow. Yeah, so I mean, it's not that I dislike it, it's just different. And to me, it's too different for me. I don't appreciate the blade shape. I think it's ugly. But it has a nice flat grind, and it does feel pretty good in hand. Let's see here. Do I have any paper or anything? I have a box. See, pretty damn sharp. Sharp enough, let's put it that way. So this is your BOA. I don't know if this is a DLC or something. I got to find out what the coding is on here. On this side, we have BOA and Django. And then on this side, we just have Shieldon. Okay, so that's cool. Now, boom. Very decent action. For a knife that I don't appreciate the design as much, it's not that I dislike, subjectively I don't like the design. Let's put it that way. Objectively, I don't see anything wrong with it. If you like the design, then there you go. It's relatively large. You can put it up next to something that you might be familiar with. I just did my Hinderer video, so here you go. Here's the Hinderer XM18 3.5 inch. That's the size comparison. This knife is pretty damn large. Okay. So, here is your Shieldon boa. Initial thoughts, I'm not a huge fan of the design. I think this looks kind of ugly. That being said, quality-wise, they did pretty well. Having told you I took it apart, I did an HRC test. Yes, I did. Did an HRC test on it. I did not run a chemistry test on it. I did not have access to the chemical lab at that point, but I did have access to the hardness checker. Milled liners. So this D2 is coming in at, if I remember right, anywhere from 57 to 58 hardness, because there was two D2s. I don't remember what the other one was. I don't remember which one specifically was which. So 57 to 58 for D2 for production isn't bad. Does that make it great? No. It really should be close to 59-60 to really maximize that hardness. But I am not entirely mad at the 57 to 58. It is close, right? And I believe they average, or they advertise 58 to 60 anyways. So all in all, quality-wise, this is well done. I don't know how much they're going to sell of this design. Maybe some of you like it, maybe some of you don't. But quality-wise, I can tell you that there's no issue there. The edge bevels look great. They did a plunge grind. This is the first one. No, this one they did pretty good with the plunge grind. One of them they didn't do that well. Was it this one? No, that did all right here. Okay. So this is the Shieldon Knives boa. First impressions, very well done in my opinion. I don't remember the price point on it, but it's well done, but not my type of a design. Now this one is one that I specifically requested. This is the Shieldon Knives Bulbasaur. Now, let's talk about it. Okay, what time do I got? Do I got time? Do we got time, guys? Let's talk about this. Shieldon Knives. Okay, Shieldon, Boa, Tortank, Charcos, I believe it's called. Those are the ones that I have, and I know there's others. Bulbasaur is the most in your face. These are all named after Pokemon, guys. Now, the name shouldn't matter if you like the knife. I just think that it needs to be known that everything that they name is after a Pokemon. It's their choice. From a Pokemon standpoint, I loved Pokemon as a kid, so I think it's kind of cool, right? It's fun. But I acknowledge that not everybody's going to appreciate that in itself. And so I did kind of mention in our first talk that you got to really check your names, because the knife community, while some of us may be closet nerds, others they're not. There's a lot of people that they don't even know what a Pokemon is, and when they find out, they're like, "What?" So just I don't know that I agree with naming your knives after Pokemon. I think I get it. You're kind of naming after something, and there's Greek mythology, Norse mythology. People are naming it after all that stuff, Hades, whatever. But either way. So this is the Bulbasaur. Once again, a very thick knife. If I had to guess, around the same thickness, probably 0.6 of an inch. It does have these contoured G10 scales with thick steel liners. Sorry, I just had like a stroke or something. Jesus. Same similar pocket clip, but this is milled in here. A little bit thick of a bill. You can knock that down. You do have a lanyard hole here, which isn't really prioritized with the pocket clip, so I'm not mad at that. Both this and the boa had really nice looking. I don't think that's titanium. I think that's like an aluminum, but it is non-magnetic. I checked when I took it apart. Pivot collar, so that's cool. Flipper tab's a little bit more pokey, but it's kind of hidden because of the curvature of the knife. And here we go. Blam! Okay, so this is a well, I'm not going to call this a perfect mirror. This is a close to a perfect mirror finish. As you can see, you can definitely see the mirror in it. So that's one thing, right? And it's cool. This is a leaf-shaped blade, and in hand, I will say ergonomically, this feels really good. I wish that they would have finished this choil up here, because I feel like this would have made a whole heck of a lot of sense, but whatever. So you do have some jimping, and it's like this, it's very wide space jimping, and so I think it actually functionally, I actually really like that. In a hand, this feels really good. Again, taking this apart, it was just fine. This is 14C28N, so all these knives came apart very, very similar. This one, I believe, has an internal stop pin with the blade, so I think it's mounted in the blade, so that's one thing. As you can tell, the action, I like the way this sounds. This sounds cool, right? Sounds sweet. It almost makes Bulbasaur sound. So the action's just fine, all right? The blade itself, I really do like that blade shape. I don't like the mirror finish. Once again, personal preference, nothing against them. Let me cut this out here, show you guys. So I have not sharpened this, and it cuts just fine. Okay, so this is relatively sharp enough for my taste, at least out of the box, and that's cool. So this, once again, no back and forth, no up and down, perfectly centered. You have 2 barrel spacers right there, and you do have some milled liners right here. This is a 14C28 blade, which is really cool. I appreciate that. So that's kind of like them listening to the community as well. I believe this hardness, once again, came at 57 to 58-ish. So it's right in that range. So production-wise, it's not too bad. So all in all, first 2 knives that you got to see from Shieldon for me were, not that one. That's, as I said, I did not check the chemistry on these, but I did take them apart. I did basically tear them down. I checked everything that I could possibly check. These are on bearings. I think they're very well constructed. These are just as easy to take apart as any other Civivi CJRB. They kind of remind me more of a CJRB Best Tech mixture of those two than Civivi itself, just based on their design styles. But I don't have a problem with them so far. Now, we'll talk price in the review. I'm not going to give you guys, I guess I could. Maybe I'll link them in the description. They want me to link everything and everything. Now, here's the deal. Just because they want it doesn't mean they're going to get it. Like, I'm a reviewer. I have to stay neutral. I don't know that I recommend these yet, but this is what I can tell you. At this point in time, I have no reservations about recommending these based other than the price. And I don't specifically remember the price, so give me a second. Let me just talk about that too. Okay, I went and re-educated myself here. So, let's just show my hand so that I know where I'm at. All right, so the BOA, which is D2 G10 stainless steel liners, blah, 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 is coming in at a $50 at MAP price. What that tells you is this is basically the cheapest that you can find it for is $49. Fine. It's a D2 G10 stainless steel liners, blah, blah, blah. Do I think that's okay? I think it's fine. I have no problem with the pricing. What I kind of have a problem with is Shieldon's history and trust and everything. You're going to come in and you're firing kind of at the same range as Civivi, and we trust Civivi, we trust CJRB. I think you need to kind of get your foot in the door with some cheaper models, but that's just my thought. That's only, once again, subjective. $50 for this knife is perfectly acceptable in our current line of everything, and the action is really, really actually fun to play with. I mean, they did really good job here. Okay, the Bulbasaur. This in 14C28N, that's the only difference, is coming in at $70 or $69. They have one model where it is the flat satin finish, and then they have the mirror polish. I don't get some of these decisions. I'll talk about it in the next one because there's one that I don't get. I get it. You're trying to experiment with something. Giving somebody a mirror polish is cool. I mean, everybody, once they see a mirror polish and then you see how you just kind of mar it up and you just do like one swipe of your finger and now it's like, oh, I got to clean it off. Mirror polish until you own one, you're like, that's cool. They only have 2 models of this, to my knowledge, and one is a satin finish and one is a mirror polish finish. I mean, to me, I would rather see you do like a stone wash and a satin, or like a DLC and then a satin. It's 14C, so you don't really need to do DLC. I don't know. I just would prefer less. It's almost like you're in the mixture of gaudy, like with this bright, shiny, flashy stuff, to trying to get the enthusiast side of us, because this does hit. That's one thing I didn't mention. These knives are hitting a lot of our enthusiast aspects. And I think some of these are misses. Like, I think the BOA is a miss. I don't think anybody's really going to want this knife at least more than like a select group, right? The Bulbasaur is a little bit more unique, and it does feel really good in hand, and the blade shape is really cool, so I could see this being a pretty good sale. We'll talk about it in the next video, what I think about these upcoming ones. All in all, though, I think the pricing is relatively competitive. I will put links down where you can find them from Amazon, I guess, because I don't have an issue recommending these at this point. I can tell you the hardness is there. I can't tell you the chemistry there, but I can tell you the hardness is there. I can tell you the build quality is there. If you like the design, I will post where to get these. But the reviews will be coming on each individual one on my full thoughts. My name is Tyler. This is your first look at two Shieldon knives, the Boa and the Bulbasaur. You guys stay sharp, stay safe, and have a great freaking rest of your day, guys. Thanks for watching. Yeah.